Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next season of the Summoner Showcases, or the League Matchup Showcases with Vexer. How you doing today, Vexer?
Hey, hello, Ben. Doing great, and welcome everyone. So yeah, we're getting season 22 of Summoner Wars League
Yep,
started with a matchup of Savannah Elves versus Mountain Bargath.
yep. There we go. League always takes a few weeks of a break, but now we're going back. So there's gonna be each matchup. There's a each week there's a matchup. So in this week, yep, Mountain Vargath versus Savannah Elves. And normally in the league, you're in a division, you play both sides of the matchup. It's a great way to just like get started playing the game, meet some people that you'll then practice with later. You start in lower leagues. Wow, there's five there's five divisions in division there's five subdivisions in Division 5 this season. That's quite a lot. Different divisions and whatnot. But what Vector and I is doing is we've played two games here, and we're going to go over them and just talk about the strategy. And so this is different than how we've done the league matchup showcases previously. And you can let us know what you think of this format. We'll probably try to stick to this format for this season. Then after it, we can ask for feedback. But when this video goes up, there's going to be a video right before it that is the live game. So we've already streamed the live games, and if you watched it, don't spoil them in chat or anything, since those are already up. But so there'll be a video of the live games if you prefer to watch that first for like the thrill of the games. But this video will be a bit more analytic. We're analytical. We're gonna just go through turn by turn, talk about what we're thinking about, and then go over like general tips for the matchup afterwards. Will be the tilt we're on here.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest advantages of this format is that well, you don't have to be waiting like for 5, 6 minutes sometimes in between turns. That means that we'll be able to be showing both sides of the matchup. So we'll be looking at least at two games. So I think that might be one of the greatest benefits that we'll see with this format.
Yeah,
So
there'll
hopefully everyone.
definitely be more time to just like talk about plays and strategy and whatnot. So you may get some tips out of it. Yeah, and with that, I think that's everything to cover. You want to just kick it off with the first game?
Yeah, let's start with the first game. If you
Yeah.
want to go
So,
ahead and share your screen
oh
too.
yes. And so we'll still be we'll still be keeping score for the fun of it. So if all goes well, there'll be 10 games at the end of this. We'll see who's
Mhm.
ahead. You should be able to see my screen. Let me know if you can.
Yeah.
And okay, let's get started. So this is the first one, my Savannah Elves versus Vexer's Mountain Vargath. And oh wait, is this the wrong game? Because I'm going second here.
No, this is good. I started with the Varga.
Oh, you did. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. We're ready to kick it off.
All right. Yeah, let's get it going. So in this game, so I went first, right? I had the fighter and brute. So the priority I usually have, like in this matchup, it's a pretty straightforward first turn because the lioness is always like a must kill unit. Like you really try to like want to try to kill it so that they don't just make it huge. So I went with the fighter because afterwards your unit is going to be exposed. So it's better to lose the fighter than have like a brute being blown up by Abua, which is going to be in a position to be shooting whatever you put there
Uh-huh.
with little risk to himself. So yeah, that was. And other than that, I started with two martial forces in hand, which
Ooh.
is not like great to have in your opening hand, and a battle leader, which is also not like a great card to have in your opening hand. So let's see what happened in here. So it was pretty straightforward. Like I only have the three moves. I didn't want to waste my battle leader just to get like +1. And here, this in hindsight that I probably could have played like I should have rolled a 2-2 instead of a 0-2. So
Yeah.
well,
No.
that was a bad decision there, rolling a 0-2.
Definitely. See if you did it.
Yeah,
Made any better decisions over here? Nope,
I
you did
did.
not.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I should have rolled that better. So that's a tough start, right? Like that lioness. We all know, like with Savannah Elves, that first turn is very swingy because of the lioness in that position.
Yeah. You discarded two cards. Anything to note there?
Yeah, so in there I discarded like one of the martial forces as it was too much to hold two of them, and one the battle leader. I felt like, hey, I'm not even close to being able to use this.
Yeah.
I needed magic because I just had one magic. I like to finish my turns with three magic with the Vargat at least to really give me options on my next turn. So that's what I went for.
You said you had one martial force in hand, or did you say you had both?
Well, I had both at first, so I discarded one
You
of them
discarded one and one battle leader.
and one battle leader just to
Yeah.
at least keep one because it's a very useful event. So I didn't want to just drop both.
Wait, did you start with both battle leaders as well?
I know only
No,
one battle
okay.
leader, and
Yes,
I
yes.
discarded.
Yeah, yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I feel like that's, and I guess I can intersperse with like questions and like overarching things too, but that's like what I struggle with the most with Mountain Vargath, I feel like these days, is the events are just so strong. Like Martial Forces and Battle Leader can just be so good and just like just allow you to just absolutely clear the board in a single turn. That I feel really bad discarding them. But if I draw them early and Sundared's in the back, like well, I don't really want to hold them for 3 turns. um,
Mhm.
so that's tough. I don't know. You have any tips for what like good
Exactly.
rules of thumb for when to keep, when to drop?
The rule in there is if you have enough magic, like if you at least manage to kill something and got to three magic, many times I keep them because I don't really need the magic. Like as long as I have like one, two more units or one unit and I have a chance, like I'm gonna draw at least two more cards, so I'm expecting to get another one. I would have enough game to develop my next turn, so I'm not in a rush to drop those events. But in situations like these ones, in which I only had like one magic, I knew I had to discard something, and I didn't want to drop the brute. Like he's really good in this one. That was my only creature at that point, and
Yeah,
the only unit in my hand. I didn't want to drop both martial forces, so I wanted to keep one. So that meant that I needed to discard two cards. So I didn't really have that many choices, right? Like the battle leader was going to take a while, and then by drawing three, I knew I was going to be getting like another unit probably.
yeah,
So I was set up for that turn. So I that's what I was pushed into that. But for example, if I managed to kill the lioness, maybe I could keep the battle leader, right?
I
Because
see.
I would draw two, very likely like one magic unit, and then I would be able to develop my next turn.
Yeah.
So that's the rule I follow. I try to finish the turn with at least three magic to have the option of like being sure that it's likely I'll be able to play two cards, at least two units.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, so I'm starting with a similar position of Chant of Power, Meki and Daru in the starting hand. All of those cards are really good, but you want to see them later. You do not want to see them turn one. You don't have enough boost to do Chant of Power. Meki and Daru is, in my opinion, the best champ in the deck. Don't want to see her turn one though, because one of the biggest downsides for Abushi is just how expensive your units are. You really can't afford to like go into turns with only two magic, or even sometimes only three magic doesn't feel like enough. You really like you want to have four plus. So yeah, so this first turn up, I'm already thinking about. I probably need to drop most of those cards. And let's see here. I think yeah, a lot of these Savannah Elves turns just kind of write themselves. Like I could consider moving that Lioness back, but like there wouldn't be a way to get like two different Border Archer attacks that are both boosted. So yeah, let's just boost the Lioness. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was solid. Like just going, you already have a target there, so you're gonna bring it to four. Yeah,
Yep,
that's right. Like that's a straightforward turn, and then you just have to like plan your roll properly. Hopefully, you didn't go for a 3-0-3. Let's see. I
yep.
like that gate positioning for the first one. Like in this matchup, that's also what I would go.
Yeah, I think we're solidly on the defense here. We have much better range than
Mhm.
Mountain Vargath, so we just want to keep them at an arm's reach here. The gate further back is great.
Yeah,
There you go. So that's better strategy there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Um,
got all of it, and then the discards. So I
and then
guess
the
let's see a
discords,
power
and I
and
drop
that.
Mekiendu and one power. Dropping both powers just feels awful because like you really need it. I could see like I bet Aaron would like hold both powers, the sleazy little guy. There's definitely a play to. I'm curious what you would, but especially like with this matchup being so much about tempo, no way am I holding so many dead cards in my hand.
Exactly. Yeah, and you were like the sweet spot is being at 4 magic with Savannah Elf, so that was exactly how I would have played that too. So solid start there. Let's
All
see
right.
what the Vargas can do. Okay, so usually in these situations, like you can still kill the lioness before it gets bigger, right? Right now it only has two boosts. So
Yeah.
I prioritize like trying to finish it off and then just keep advancing to try to keep softening up the archer. Even though, it was hard to get the kill, but all you can really do is keep attacking.
Yeah.
So I really needed the +1 of Sundervid. So the only way to affect like both slingers there was to take that position. So that's what I went for.
Yep. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So let's see. And at that point, I had in hand the stronghold and the brute that I had at the beginning. So in there, like 2, 3. Not enough to kill the archer, but expected. And then in here, the odds were in my favor. Let's see, I got 2 there. So just needed, well, not in my favor. They were probably like a 50-50, but they didn't get the kill. So that lioness is still going to be a problem for them.
And you're at 1 magic, which is rough.
Exactly. So again, I have to discard aggressively because I didn't get any single kill so far. Like I haven't killed any unit. So at that point, I still had like the martial force, the brute. I had I played the fighter and the slinger, and I had a stronghold. So
Yeah.
that means that I needed to discard 2 more things. Actually, I just discarded one in there. I didn't want to drop the other martial. I just discarded the stronghold, which was something that in this game it's not really that useful, and just ended the turn into a 2 magic.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so yeah,
And
things were looking tough in here. So in here, I like your play. Like I'll never try to have 2 lionesses on the board at the same time because I'm not gonna be able to feed both of them.
yeah.
So I don't see the point, right? Like I only keep the one that I can feed. So the rhino was a good move there, and you had a beautiful positioning for that growth.
Let's see. Did I break things? There we go. Yep, that's really nice. Oh yeah, I did a. I was looking at this board and I wasn't expecting the rhino play. I was just like, oh, the archer will just shoot. But no, that rhino. My goodness, rhinos are so good. They can move so many spaces so
Yeah, in
easily.
this matchup, they are amazing.
Yeah, I'm thinking why. I guess I go for that because Um, I mean, they'll just like slightly better attacks. It's nice to like keep that archer so you can't just kill it easily. Rhino in your face might be a bit tough to deal with. Lioness now 3-on-2 is much more likely than 3-on-3.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's definitely a play where you just like don't. No, I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, no, I don't know because I'm gonna kill this brute. I feel like if I just hadn't played that rhino, it would have been fine too. But
But I
it
think
all
it was
works.
like a beautiful play. Like I would have played it that way too, because while you were using that boost, you were like increasing your chances, making sure that the lioness was going to kill the fighter. You were
Yeah,
protecting that archer, because as you can see right now, like I'm starving for magic. Like I haven't killed a single unit. That means I'm
yeah.
discarding stuff that I would have liked to keep. So I like that play because now I have to deal with a full health 5 unit instead of being able to finish off the archer. And then you probably move the lioness to the side of the fighter, I would assume. So that way you can also kill this linger, like guarantee that you kill this
Oh,
linger.
nope,
I would have
didn't.
also gone with that gate position. In this one, I do like second row or first row gate positions, depending on how close the Vargat is. Like if they're in your face, sometimes maybe you can just put it all the way to the back. But right
Yeah.
now, like that's I also like that position. Oh, let's see. Oh, you didn't move the lioness. Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, you
it
didn't go
took
for the
one
slinger.
move for Abua to get boosts on the rhinoceros, that many boosts, and I don't think I wanted to expose the lioness by moving it
Yeah,
over
yeah,
there.
that would also make sense. Like you were just ramping up, like accumulating boosts. You use the third movement just to get another boost on that archer. So you were already planning ahead your chant of power. So yeah, it's good. Like there was really that way. I mean, I wouldn't even have the guaranteed kill on the lioness by you
Yeah.
doing that because I would have only had the probably was like this linger play. So It was also a good move. Like just keep denying me. Like there was no rushing killing
Yeah,
these guys.
and the sling like not killing these slingers just means that you're not going to be able to summon brutes there. So, um,
Exactly. Yeah, like it all even hurts more that way. So that was a good move. Yeah.
Eden Essence asks, can I ask why gates are on such a low row? Is it to protect against MV gate rushing? Feels like you lose vital protection. Yeah, no, exactly that. To protect against to protect against the Vargath coming back. It also it's like it's easier to defend with range. It's sort of hard to describe. I don't know. I have an easier time like if I just have a total range advantage defending with a gate on the second row than the third row because like if the enemy ever manages to occupy the gate on the third row, suddenly like you're in kind of an awkward spot and might need to expose your unit to get that unit out of there. It's much easier to defend the forward spot of gates in the second row. The benefit of gates in the third row is they put pressure, and like I could even see them good in this matchup if Sundervid is advancing and Sundervid is more on your field already. Suddenly you're threatening a spot that's much closer to Sundervid, and that could just all it takes is one hit with Chant of Power, and Sundervid is out of there. So there's definitely a spot for third row gates as well, but since yeah, I was just trying to preserve the range advantage here.
Mhm. I agree completely with what you said. Like it's just because right now you're playing a defensive game. It's harder to defend them when they're like further ahead, and it's easier for them to just clog them, and then you have to be in a disadvantageous position.
Yeah.
And yeah, like also only like that very specific scenario that you described. Sometimes you just put it that way just to try to threaten one side. But right now, when you're still controlling like the midfield, that's exactly as I would play it too
Yep.
that way, just because of that.
Well, let's go ahead
Okay, so let's
and
see. Let's see if you get the roll. So you put yourself in a position in which it was easy to get them. So kill the fighter. The brute is probably going to go down, and you're in a healthy amount of magic. You probably didn't
yep.
discard anything. Let's take a look.
I don't like
Oh,
lionesses.
God.
I don't know. Maybe I should hold on. I'm not so good with Savannah Elf hand management. I don't know. Rhinos always seem better than lionesses the more I play these guys.
In this matchup, yeah, this matchup, the rhinos are the like very very good. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Then next turn.
There it is. And that's your turn. Just taking a breather for a
Yeah,
second. It's not what you really want to be doing against Savannah elves, because like that just gives them time to build up. But I'm guessing you didn't have much of a choice. What were you thinking about there?
yeah, pretty much at that point, like my hand only had Taurodine. I had two brutes. I had ramming advance, and that was it. So my option was either like do a ramming advance to try to kill the like the lioness on one side, but then like you're gonna eat up that brute like very easily. Like that was a dead brute, right? It would have been a Bua from one side, any unit,
Yeah.
because you had the side gates, then any unit like the Lioness would have been perfect there just to eat up the brute. So I ended up just trying to, hey, let's just go back a little bit. I knew I didn't want to just play the Ram in advance for one movement because I really needed the magic. I prefer like, hey, I'm just going to discard this to try to
Yeah.
keep having magic to play a better hand. So yeah, I just retreated with his linger there, just to at least not be, I don't know, so close and not give you like that much trample, easy trample damage. And then, ooh, like just not even close to killing that Eternal Lioness,
Yep.
the Rhino. So far, I haven't killed a single unit. This is strange to see in games this far. Like end of my third turn, not a single kill,
That's
and that's linger in a bad position.
Yep, that's very swingy. You discarded two cards there. Makes sense. Just
Yeah,
trying to
so I was just the
find something.
Taurodine and the ramming advance
Yep.
just to try to keep getting units and digging for my gate because right now I'm in an awful position without any side gates and you already having the side gates. So this is kind of like the nightmare scenario for the Varmint. So everyone is going to be shocked of the comeback that's about to happen.
Uh, yep, yep,
So if you kept protecting the lioness, so I like this approach in which you were trying to minimize my chances of getting magic and not really rushing it to my side or anything, right? Because for me to be efficient here, I had to be bringing units into positions which were unfavorable. So there was a solid management in here of the position.
Yeah, yeah. And again, roles that are likely to work out for us is always nice to go for.
Yeah,
I
agree.
wonder what I discard. I discarded two there, yeah. So I don't need a third gate.
Yeah,
And I guess I really hate
agree.
lionesses. That goes away
Yeah, a
too.
lot of hate there for the Lionesses, but I mean, in this matchup, I guess in this position specifically, you preferred archers, mages, rhinos, because the lioness is more useful when they are in your face, and you need
Yeah,
something that is going to be able to stay in your back lanes and attack something big. So I guess it makes sense. Like you're
yeah.
going to be able to find a use for all that magic.
Like very briefly, like what sort of matchup situations do you prefer lionesses? Do you prefer to hold on to them?
So like mostly it's I also don't play, you cannot play that many lionesses. Like the deck could really just use like have four and be okay with it because you really just need like one or two during the game, at most
Yeah,
three if it's a long game. And I like them like in this matchup they are good if the Vargoth is in your face. Like if the Vargoth is in the front of your gate and has the center, then the lioness can be useful because it's going to allow you to like get rid of those fighters maybe with a shot or make it easy to finish the brutes with two attacks, right?
yeah,
Where the rhino maybe it's not going to be that efficient if they're already like choking you. So it depends really, like in those type of scenarios. Also, like when you're on the back and only exposing one flank of the lioness, that's what I really like them because they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to have to spend a lot of attacks to bring them down.
yep. Makes sense. Well, we'll keep going here. My magic game is a little bit tight because I've discarded Mickey Endu, which is like the one that I would want to play, but I still have the cat. I still have Midi Kairu, so and a bunch of archers I can play. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll be fine enough with Econ, even though I've gone pretty heavy on the discards. Um,
Yeah, and you're getting ready for media too if it comes at
yep,
this point. So then I just have two brutes in hand. I drew the other battle leader. I finally drew a gate, so I'm just gonna try to go for a little bit of like higher risk play with the 3 for 3 on the Rhino. As at this point, I'm pretty far behind, so I just have to hope that I'm at least able to get that because I didn't want to send the brute for the 2/2 on the Lioness because it would be more like a little bit more exposed. At this
yeah,
point, so I was kind of like losing faith. That's a gate that I placed there wasn't like the correct positioning because it was easy for you to just clog it.
yeah,
So the gate placement in that situation should have been just the second row, so that if you come to the side of the brute to try to finish it off, I can play my other brute that I had in hand there. So I didn't really think that through. At that point, I was already doing the math and saying like, I think this game is over when I saw nine. But let's see what could have happened. So I finally got two kills, the first two magic that I got from there. But the thing is, now with your side gates, it was easy for you to kill that brute. So it was
yep,
still not the best situation.
yep. Yeah, you didn't discard either. Holding on to stuff.
Yeah, let's see what did I hold on to. So I kept the battle leader and the martial force. Yeah, so I had two magic, martial force, and battle leader, and then I drew three cards.
That makes sense. I mean, that's the sort of turn that could potentially swing something back your way,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
and
manage to get
actually I
that to
had
work.
used my two brutes, so I didn't have a brute in hand after the end of this turn. But then I drew one. I drew barn, brute, and collar.
I see, I see. So yeah, I think. Or wait, is this? Do I just chill this turn?
You
Um,
probably like finish
no,
off those
no.
brutes. They're right there for you.
Yeah, no, no. This is the turn. I do.
Oh,
I
actually,
go for it. I'm just like, oh, I see a chance to hit Sunderved. Let's entangle this lioness. Finish off this brute. And then we can
mhm.
chant of power and hit Sunderbed. And then you won't know that I've discarded the other chant of power, so you'll need to be pretty careful after this. So
Yeah.
pretty happy.
And one thing we discovered after this games is that, like Sunderved, you always have to keep in mind to try to keep him in a position outside of the range of this type of plays. Just because, like someone else, most of the time they're going to be doing like if they have a chance to take the flanks of your unit, Sunderville is not safe. Like most of the time, there was always the opportunity for this type of plays.
Yeah.
So in here, let's see, yeah, 3, 6, 7. So at this point, Sunderville, and the fact that you had clogged the front of my gates pretty much meant that it was going to be hard to even do anything in this turn because now Sundervid, like it's hard to keep him there, right? Like it's hard to
Yeah.
try to do that, but I cannot really play any of the other units. That was big, like the misplacement of the gate there was big because now I couldn't even like go after that mage.
Yeah.
And then I had to use the martial force, which I had been holding for the whole game. Like it was an opportunity because I had to protect him, and that gave me a chance to finish up the other guy, but you're just going to keep taking over that position, right? So that's why it's so important to try to make sure that when you place your gates, it's not in a position in which they can just summon a unit and plug your gate. So if the opponent already has a gate on that side, that means that you cannot really put it on the third row unless you're going to move a unit to the front of it to protect the front gate. As it's like whenever they clog that gate, you're always going to be in a disadvantageous position.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so then
The
oh,
weaving
you
to
want to shout?
respond. Don't have the other chant of power, otherwise that would be game.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Then yeah, perfect opportunity to take both of the front gates, which pretty much just sealed the game by denying me any chance afterwards to try to do anything useful.
here we go. It's my first big miss this game, pretty much.
But the Rhino like was there as an insurance policy, so you had it like just needed the 4 on 6, and all right. And here, I mean, at this point, I didn't really had anything that I could do. You can just let it play now. Like we don't need to be one by one. Like I just retreated and tried to see if there was anything I could do, but with those front gates clogged, like all I could really do is just try to shift the game to the other side and just start trying to kill any unit around there.
Yep. And I go for the cheeky archer intent. Oh, well, that was a sad one to get past. We gotta watch that. There we go. Beautiful. Uh, yeah. Imbued speed is very strong. It's a fun ability too. Very strong. Well, that's game one. Goes to me.
All right, let's go to game 2 and see how that played
All
out.
right. So we got the reverse matchup, and
Mhm.
Varg. Wait. Nope. This
So now
is
this is
not the same.
unless it's
What
the
did I mess up?
third one,
Yeah. This is. Did I just
that's the second.
did I just pull up the same game twice?
No,
Is
let's
this the
see
second one?
the link. This is
Okay.
TT.
I'm just gonna
The
I'm just gonna delete
one of those is the third one.
I'm just gonna delete these and oh I guess okay wait I have to hide my
Wait,
screen so
yeah,
you, so, so you don't see
don't
who
show
wins this. Sorry, go
you're,
ahead.
don't show, you're showing it.
I have OBS covering the screen. Don't worry.
Oh, okay,
um,
okay.
uh, just filling some space while Summoner Wars is loading. I don't know. I swear I'd pulled up the right games. What the
I
heck?
can
Why?
ping you the. I can just give you the link in the chat.
Oh my goodness! It just
You
signed me
got it?
out of Summoner Wars. I should be able to get in there in just a second.
Okay, I put it on chat if it's faster for you just to grab it from there.
Okay.
Oh, you're showing stuff.
It's hidden on stream. Don't worry. Okay, so
Oh,
that's
okay, okay.
that that's game two here. You and me can talk. That's game two, and then this should be game three. So okay,
All
so
right.
this is game
So
two. Is that right? Yep.
Yeah, this is game two. So in this one, I had Lioness, a Spirit Mage, I had Chant of Growth, I had Meaty, and I had a Rhino. So the first turn, as we were saying, it's pretty straightforward. Like I didn't want to just like it's not a good move in here just sending the Lioness because then you just give him the perfect target. It's not going to be that big.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, let's just try to like pump up this Lioness as much as possible and have them have Ben come to me. Right? So you can keep playing it. So I just like use the Spirit Mage to make it as big as possible to try to have it survive an initial attack. So I was going to be able to put 3 boosts on it, which gave it a decent size. And then the Chant of
And the
Growth.
growth. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to be ready next turn to pump something up. And then
Just in
just
case I
go
ever
for the.
think of killing that anything on your side of the battlefield. Uh,
And this time I tried a different approach. So instead of just like whiffing with the dice, I said like, okay, I'm gonna connect on this one, so I get a decent amount of damage on the brute. And obviously I discarded Meaty and the Lioness. That's probably what I discarded. Let's see. Yeah, because you don't really need more than one Lioness at any given time. That one could still grow.
yeah.
And in this situation at the beginning of the game, he's not, he doesn't shine that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that was the turn. I just drew like a Mitikiryu, the another archer, Chant of Power, and a Rhino. That's how I ended the first turn.
Gotcha.
So let's see what you had. That wasn't like a that type of hand is not great for the Vargat. Like when you don't even have like a melee unit to try to like kill the lioness, which you can do
Yeah.
when you have a slinger and the melee. Like you can just try to go for both of them attacking. So you probably let's see what you did.
Yeah, I'm bad at Vargath on a good day, but like against like a faction like Savannah Elves, it's just tough to advance. Like you really need to advance to make this faction work, and so it's like and sometimes a trap I'll fall into is just like advancing advancing too early with a faction that needs to advance before biding my time. Like sometimes Obsidian Dwarves, a lot of times they want to advance, but sometimes you can really just like wait a few turns until you have the right boost, until you have the gate before advancing. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for Sundervid as well. Let's see what I did here. I think I'm just like, nope, screw it. Let's get up there. I think I might have
Yeah.
even played the ramming advance just to get the brute
Exactly.
up
Like
there. Yeah.
that's what you want to do because it's worth being able to move everyone all the way up and get the kill on the archer. I've noticed like in this matchup, you need to be as aggressive as possible. Like the first few turns really dictate most of the game. So yeah, I think that was a good approach there, like going with the ram in advance.
Y-
Otherwise, that brute is not going to do anything. And I mean, you want it to be able to give the bonus to the other slinger, right? If you were going to
yeah.
summon it, you need to at least attack for 3 for it to be like of any use. So let's see how those rolls went. I mean, in there you're expecting to at least kill the archer, right? When you're going for that move.
Yep. And so it's fairly risky because these things are pretty low health and whatnot. But yeah, I'm sort of with you. Like if I can get in there first turn, I want to try. Got the archer. That's good. Hopefully we can get 2 damage on the lioness at least. Nope. That's all right.
Nope.
It happens. Um,
So in here, probably like Torlin, and you kept the other stuff, I would assume.
nope.
The battle leader, which I
I
guess it kind of makes sense because it's hard to be able to use it in this matchup. Like it's hard to expose Thundervet even a little bit. Like they can punish you so hard for it that it like it's harder to find even the opportunities because you had martial forces. Like maybe some people I would have thought maybe like oh
yeah.
maybe I can keep it and then you can go forward and like kill whatever is in the front and then try to use a martial to cover that spot. But it's always risky, right? Like it's
Yeah. We'll see. We,
all
we
right.
can
So
we can
let's
see
see what
after your
happens.
turn whether or not there would have been a good play with it. But yeah,
So I had a decision between Archer and Rhino, and the Rhino is
I
great in
see.
these situations because those lingers, which are a pain to deal with, and they're usually protected. Well, not really with the Rhino. So in
Yeah.
there, I think the Rhino was the obvious play that I had to go for,
Uh-huh.
and I just try to really finish off both, like, well, pretty much the whole table, right? That's what I try to do there. Had the odds in my favor, everything are over 75% on the 3 shots. So let's see what happened. So that was the easy one. The Spirit Mage, I guess, is the significant. Yeah, that's it. And finally, the Lion. This is perfect for the Lion. He's going to be maxed up. He's going to be in a position where the Brute can get him, but at that point, you don't care. Like, this is a very bad spot for Sundervid. Like, you still don't have the gate. Sundervid is blocking one of the summoning gate spots. So he cannot really go forward without being massively exposed. So this is a very tough position for.
Yeah, and so maybe just like thinking about like yeah, maybe there would have been a play with the battle leader, but like I'm not even like getting, it's hard for me to even get three attacks this turn. So like you just put two, if there was only like one of these units, the lioness and the spirit mage, and if I had drawn a gate, like I would like nothing better than to walk up with Sundervid, place a gate, battle leader attack, do a bunch of attacks, wipe the board, but you just did not give me that opportunity here. This is just too scary to walk Sundervid into. I have no idea what I did. Let's see.
You would have needed to have a brute already in hand to know that you were going to be able to push one of the units to
I see.
cover
Yeah.
one of the flanks a little bit. But without that, like you would have been having three open flanks. The martial force only covers one. So yeah, it was hard to do that.
Yeah.
So it forces you to retreat, right? Like when you're in those tough spots, and this is not the place where the Vargat want to be in this matchup.
Yeah, because
So
if you
yeah,
retreat, you
you
need to go forward again at some point, and it's just all the more
exactly.
difficult when it's about like in some matchups it's fine, but against Savannah Elves, they're just biding their time, boosting their things. So
Exactly. So yeah, this is probably the best play, the only one that you had as an option here. You try to get some magic, but the
skill
Vargas is
issue.
not playing along. Like it's yeah, missed that one. The other one, not even 3 out of 3. So now the tables have turned. It seemed on the those, and then you remove, I guess, the target.
Yeah,
Just
I moved the slinger. You like that? You don't like it? What do you think?
well, it's one of those painful decisions in which, I mean, you leave it there, they're just gonna kill it easily. If you just save it, like you're using one of your cards to put it on the back. So I guess it was a good move because you preferred to have a live slinger than that marshal that was not gonna do anything for you. Like you were gonna have to discard it.
Yeah, exactly. And do I ditch Varn too? I bet I do. Yep.
Oh,
And
let's see. Oh, you did Warren.
hold
That's
the other.
you don't see that
You
every
think
day.
you would hold him? I mean, like you think there's a play here where I slowly eke back
Yeah,
and get the magic for him?
I would have maybe tried because in this matchup, like he's one of the tools that might just give you a fighting chance because like the Savannah Elves are such a tough opponent for the Varga. So yeah, like because you weren't digging for anything in particular to do like a specific play or anything like that.
Yeah.
Really, any units that you would have drawn, like you would have tried to use them. I would have probably just kept it just because of how bad the situation was. Maybe even like discarding the other martial force just to
To try to
like
play
get
Varn.
the deck
Yeah,
flowing and just get more units. As right now, you're not in a position to be thinking like you're gonna have a chance to really get some of the good use of the martial forces.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe I would have discarded both martial forces to finish the turn at 5 and just kept Barn.
interesting, interesting. Well, let's see your response here.
All right, so here I had those two units, so that's what I had in my hand. Other than that, I had a Chant of Power, Weaving, Chant of Weaving, and Growth. So I really just went back, putting myself in a position to use the growth. I don't like getting the rhinos on the back, but I had the chant of growth, so that's the only reason why I put it there, just to be able to get like one extra boost. I like to at least get 3 boosts out of the chant of power,
Yeah,
unless I have just a very specific like play that I want to do, in which I don't care if I get more because I'm going for the kill.
yeah,
And we know how hard it is for the Vargat to advance. Like the Vargat wants them to, like if I went to you, like that would have been good for you because it gives you more plays with brutes and things like that. So I just retreated. I noticed like you were having like also a hard time with magic, as you hadn't really achieved like many kills. So I moved the rhino a little bit back to protect the spirit mage, and that was it really. I just went like, well, I'll just go see if I can kill that fighter and
yeah,
just have you be the one that has to come at me.
yeah. And I recall when we were doing this live, there was a play where like you had left the Rhino one spot forward, and and I was super. I was like that gave me at least some sort of play where I like used a glory collar and a fighter to push it within range so I could like actually attack something. But then when you changed your play to move that Rhino back a spot, I was like, oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
this is not going
And
my way.
when I was doing that one, I felt like, well, I mean, the caller, he will probably get a caller already as a caller, so he can still reach me with a fighter and then push it back and attack me with something else. But
Yes.
then I thought if I move it even one further away, then you would be able to kill the spirit mage. And I thought, like, you know what? I'll probably gonna kill the fighter. And it was like, okay, well, I didn't kill the fighter. Maybe he's gonna do that. But I thought like, oh, it's okay. I mean, even if he does that, he'll need to get like a 5 out of 5 or something like that. And if he doesn't get that, then the Rhino is going to be able to do something. So I prioritize just protecting the mage to deny you any magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's see what happens. So you had the another fighter, the caller, so you were able to go and try to reach the Rhino.
Trying
Okay,
to
but you're yeah,
yeah.
but no way you kill that thing. It's a 5 out of 5. You
Yeah,
finally got your gate.
would have to get lucky. I have the martial forces to call the caller in order to finish off the rhino if I need to. Yeah, finally got
Oh
my
yeah.
gate halfway through the deck.
Exactly. Like this is one of those in which they really need to get a gate soon to be able to have a sustainable advance that is not just forced back like very easily. Okay, so you get the Rhino, and
Easy
that's it.
every
You have
time.
at least you're clogging my front gate spot, so it's not a terrible position to be in. Now Sendervid is in a position to try to come back. You have a gate on the side,
Yeah.
so it's a good spot considering the bad position you had before.
Yeah,
This is
and so now I've discarded all of my champs too. I just lost Quen, so like I mean, and this is why I'm bad about Vargath. But I'm thinking like, well, like like I'm so behind on econ. It's been going so poorly. Like the only way we win is if we somehow manage to like just surround you, get some sort of assassination, gate occupation kill. So I'm not too worried about econ at this point. I've kind of thrown that out the window already.
Exactly. Yeah, at this point you were behind on econ, and playing Quen wasn't really gonna like give you any econ advantage in this
Yeah.
matchup. Right. So let's see what happens. So what did I do there? Okay, so I wanted to move the boost. I just put the Spirit Mage there just as an insurance policy to make sure I was going to be able to clear that spot, which ended up being a good move. That Lioness wasn't able to get the kill. Then just start softening up the other color, as that was my only target in that area for ranged attack,
So it's at
which
least
worked okay.
I've put enough pressure that I've made you be like, okay, I need to respond to this. I can't just sit back. I
Mhm.
need to kill. I need to start killing units. I can't just let you walk back here.
Exactly. Especially because I don't have any gate yet, so protecting that gate spot becomes even more important.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. That's funny how both of these games and it's also worth note of like Savannah Elves. A big weakness is as Fuzzy Marmot put it, like there is they don't have any ways to steal spots really. Your only way of like post move phase move is MIDI Kairu. While like most decks these days are printed with some sort of trick or whatnot. But so as soon as I have stolen this forward gate spot, you are never going to be able to get that back unless you like totally wall off my unit somehow. Or it's a one health unit and you trample it or something. I guess that's one
Mhm.
way. But so like this spot is now mine for the foreseeable
Mhm.
future. And this next turn spoilers, I'm just gonna walk up and put a gate there. So that's like that's one weakness of the Savannah Elves that you can take advantage of, especially when they don't have any gates here. They're weak to the gate occupation strategies.
Mhm. Exactly. And I had a lot of units. That's what I had been drawing. So at that point in my hand, I had Makinda, which is what I discarded on that turn. As I don't think like the champs are they really shine in this matchup against the Vargath, because the Vargath has many plays in which they can just kill a champion in a single turn, with things like the fighter just moving it to the side for someone else to attack it, and then the slinger from the back. So I think it's risky to try to go with champions against the Vargath. So that's the one I discarded, and I kept the Archer, a Lioness, a Spirit Mage, and the Chant of Power.
Uh-huh. Archer, well,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Makes sense. I always I'm not a fan of the lionesses, but I'm bad at Abua, so
Well,
I
if
don't
you
know.
see the status of my, so I didn't have the gate, right? But I didn't want to, like, I was way ahead on the econ,
Yeah,
and I didn't really want to just start discarding stuff that I could just use the next turn. Like I have already like 2 boosts on Abua, so
yeah,
I can bring a lioness and make it
that's
like a
fair.
6 health almost immediately in
Yeah,
that turn. So that
yeah,
was kind of like what I was thinking with that one.
yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so discards, and now, yep, I'm just like, okay, I have a chance to get in there. Let's do it. Move move the brute here. Place a gate. Brute's like super easy for you to kill in like half a dozen ways. But at least that's something. Yeah, the gate. I don't know. I wonder if there's any alternative plays because it's not like the best gate given that you like it's not giving me any spawning spots. You're gonna occupy both of these spots easily. So maybe there's another play there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
maybe
moving up.
like you could have put the fighter on that position, the 1 health fighter, just to like give you time, and then the gate on one of the sides, like that could have been an alternative play on the side of the spirit mage.
Yeah, like the side with the spirit mage and then
Yeah,
root
and
over
then the
there.
brute there. So I guess
Yeah.
that would have been an alternative there.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't like that the fighter was at 1 health because if you trample it somehow then you could get the spot back. So I think that's why I didn't
That's
do
true.
that.
Yeah, that's actually just a reason to not really do that because yeah, I had enough boost just with the rhino on the back, like putting boost on that guy to do that like trample and then occupy the front gate that you would have placed on the side, and then just move like the rhino to the front of Sundervid. So yeah, like that wasn't a good approach. Like just with the board, you knew that was going to happen just with the state of the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that was kind of like the way to go. And having that gate blocking your front gate spot if you don't have other gates really hurts the Swan Elves. Like they do struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, let's see your response here.
All right, so let's take this one low. So this looks interesting. So I had the one I drew was the entangling.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess so this was a funny play. So I had the chant of power that I had been holding. And the traditional play that you would do here, so I was about to having to pause the game because I had to do some stuff, or I could just go for a very fun play. Like I love doing this big chant of power plays. So let's see what I did. So I had the entangling, but I did it with a rhino. I could just go to the back of Thunderbed there.
That's so mean.
Also take care of the fighter. All right. So let's pause this here. So this is do not try this at home. This was done by trained professionals. You never want to expose a Bua this way, like especially if you're way ahead on the game. Like if you're losing the econ by far, like yeah, you would do this type of play. But otherwise, like if you're ahead, you would never really expose a Bua this way because you're just giving them a shot, right? The thing here was that the shot I was giving him, so I calculated it, and it was like he needed to get like a 10 out of 10 or 10 out of 11, depending if he had the battle leader, which I didn't know if he had it or not. I already knew he had his linger because during the game he was going to play it before and he changed his mind. So I was like, okay, he has his linger. He needs a color, but it's a sure thing he has one because he's only played one. So I was making the checking the odds, right? So okay, so I'm gonna leave him around maybe 2-3 life with this play, and then I'm just giving him a shot. Like the game is gonna be over one way or the other. The next game, that was in the thought. The thing why you don't really want to try this in a like a real competitive game, unless you're just doing it like in a game for fun, is that the Vargoth can also potentially have stronghold. So
Mm,
that way they could hit you, leave you like 2-3 life or whatever, even if they don't get like the 10 hits, and then they could just escape. So then the game goes back into the econ thing, but now your Abua is really fragile. So
yeah.
that's why you wouldn't do this against the Vargoth because there's always a chance that they escape. During the game, I thought I was like a low probability because you wouldn't have been holding like a stronghold at this point with the way things going. So you would have needed to draw that like in your three things you drew or two things you drew.
Yeah.
And I assume you had already discarded the one, so I thought like, it's not likely, and let's just go for this. Let's see if he is able to get like a 10 out of 10, and let's see how much I get in this.
Yes, yes. Yep. And when I saw this, like as a player, I'm like, oh, this is a game I'm behind, and he's maybe giving me a chance of some super lucky dice giving me a win. I will, I welcome that.
Yeah. All right, so let's see if the lionesses do their job. This one did it. Then Avua, like if I got the 4 out of 5, it would have made things much harder for you to connect that because now it was going to be ranged and not melee, and I got that. And then the big
Yeah,
lioness goes roar, and let's see if she gets the job done. Yeah, 7 out of 8.
sure
That's what I wanted to
does.
see.
Sure does.
Yeah. So here I was calculating your odds after this. So I knew like there was I wasn't going for the kill, right? I was just going for like the 2 or 3. So I was calculating like if you needed the 10 out of 10 scenario, it was like I think an 8% or something like that. If you were able to get the 11 dice because you had the battle leader, it was like a 22% or something like that. So I was like, I like those odds. Let's just go ahead and do this. So let's see what happened.
Yep. And I think, wait, so is it like, is there any play here without battle leader that could potentially kill Abua? Like I can't. Well, we can see what we did, but without the brood to push
10
Abua.
dice. Without battle leader, you can get 10 dice because you've had like the slinger that you had in hand,
Yeah.
Sunderbed, and you had like the brute that I was assuming that your brute
If the
was going to
brute
have a
lived.
collar to move it to the side to the archer so that you move the archer and then hit me on the side with the brute, in the front with Sunderbed, and with the slinger. So that's what I was planning around, like the 10 dice there.
Yeah.
Or if you had the battle leader, it would have been 11 dice in
Yeah.
that
But
situation.
if
That was what I was
when
planning.
you get the 4 and 5 on the brood, that's at the window.
Exactly. And because I was assuming that I was not going to get the 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
And when I
exactly.
got the 4 out of 5,
Exactly.
now it was harder for you. Like you needed to have something extra to be able to even throw those dice, those
Well,
10 out of 10.
let's see it.
And that the play that you did, I didn't see that coming. And I was surprised when you actually did that. Because well, that play involved like the martial force that you had. So that was a pretty awesome play that you put in there. I was like, wait, what's happening? This was not under my plans. And then I was like, how many dice is he going to throw? But it was around the expectation. That was going to be 11 dice. So let's see if he gets it.
Yep. So we get the first 5 on 5. That's
It's
good.
five. That's
We
awesome.
have a
Okay.
slinger shooting at a Bua. We had an extra
Okay,
attack
putting the averages. So
with
then I was like,
Sunderbid.
what's going on now? Because
Uh,
when you attack your unit, I was like, what's going on? And
Caller
you get the
attacks the
kill there.
slinger. Yes, that's another 2 on 2 that we need in order to free up the spot, so we can bring another slinger in here.
This
For
is painful. This is and then you get the oh no!
and
That was my
then
reaction at that point. When I saw the two rays, I was like, oh no.
yes, if we had had a strong, if our last card in hand had been a stronghold, this would have like actually been a good play. Like we could have retreated. I mean, you might have still killed me with entangling or something, but we could have retreated and suddenly Abu was fragile. Maybe we have a shot at the econ. Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, let's
But
see what would have happened if you had the stronghold. Did I had a way of reaching it to the back? No, you would have survived. No, turn like you would have been in a tough spot because the lionesses would have been alive, so
yeah,
they would have
it's
been able like just to wipe the board, like a few of the units there. Well, not to wipe the board, I guess, just kill a few more things, and then I would have destroyed the gate there to make sure that you're all the way to the back, and then Avua would have just gone all the way to the back just to hang out there, right? Like I couldn't really keep him around anymore. But so yeah, that was fun, that fun ending. But I was curious then. Let's see what would have happened like if I would have done the correct play, right? Like the one that you would have traditionally just played at that point, which was just going for even more econ advantage, which I believe like it would have been just wiping out the board.
yeah. We need to go take a look.
So if we go back to turn 9. So the normal play would have been to play the entangling with the archer and the lioness, right? Because you have two big juicy targets that you want to get rid of. One of them is that gate, which is really
Yeah.
a hassle. The other one is the brute. So that's just like the perfect scenario, like also the dream scenario for that huge lioness that was still alive. On the other side, the rhino would have gone to kill the fighter, and the archer would have, let's see, what was the best thing for the archer there? I think let's see, did I had a boost? It was one move, two moves. I just so I would have been able to move from even the archer to one space up to finish off the collar and then get an attack on Sunderbed. That would have probably been the third move with the archer.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, that's also good assurance because six melee on five with the lioness could absolutely miss, and if that does miss, that's pretty bad for you because then I can
Exactly,
reclaim
that's
this
true.
spot.
That's why you remove that possibility there. So then, yeah, like that way, it's almost like a guaranteed thing that I'm going to be destroying the. Well, actually, it's eight dice on the brute, right? Like the plus five.
Um, what do you mean? Eight dice from which?
Like the lioness would have been attacking for eight on the brute
Whoa, what,
because it's
what am I missing?
the chant of power.
Oh, your chant of
So
powering it. I see. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
like the chant
Sorry,
of
sorry.
power that I used, like I would have used it on the same guy that was going to get plus five on two
I
attacks.
see. Oh, and would you not use entangling then? Sorry, I was assuming you
No,
were
yeah, yeah,
using
yeah. So
entangling, not power.
entangling between the lioness and the archer. So he gets two attacks, and the two attacks were going to be eight.
Oh, and you destroy the gate
Eight
too.
melee. Yes. So I
Yes, I
was gonna
see.
like kill the brute, which is like a 90 something percent, and kill the gate. That is also a 90 something percent with the backup of the rhino there in case that I miss the gate. And then the archer gets to attack for four on Sunderbed, or just two Sunderbed, or well, actually the color I don't care about the color. I would have attacked the four on Sunderbed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. Let's see. And let's see what you would have been able to do the next turn, because I think you would have been in a situation in which you just had to retreat, right? Like I believe that would have been the case.
Well, I mean, this game is going so poorly that if I have any option to not retreat, I probably would take it. And so I do have the battle leader and the martial forces in hand, so I could just move. Yeah, no, I mean this would kill me for sure. But you have just used the chant of power, so maybe you don't have the other one. So I see Sundervid moves up. We battle leader to kill this rhino. Um, somehow, I guess we just like bring a glory caller this way, and maybe a slinger also shoots this. And we will then martial forces glory caller to one of the sides. I don't know. But yeah, Sundervid will still be exposed on one side after this play, no matter what we do. So it's not looking great, but I think that's better than retreating.
Yeah, maybe exactly. You would have had to do something like that, and like yeah, use the battle leader, use the martial force, bring all that like down your units.
Yeah.
Try to like the rhino. Yeah, like one, two.
It depends how much your archer does to Sunderbid too. Like like sometimes that like if that archer totally whiffs and does like one damage, then I'm pretty comfortable. um
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but well, it seems that like the pattern of the game would have been the same there, in which like you wouldn't have been able to finish some of those units. Like yeah, the lioness would be dead, but then the archer would be still alive.
Yeah, I think the
What
archer
would
would live.
you have used to attack the archer? Like the slinger on the side of
Um
it?
if did you move the archer one space up or did you keep it where
Yeah,
you did?
yeah, he would be one space up to be able to attack
I think I would
Sunderbed.
just attack it for like two with a glory collar. So I definitely I'd very likely kill the rhino, but yeah, the archer lives.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then you use the martial force to cover the. Well, you needed the collar to finish off the lioness.
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh,
The
that's
one that you
true.
move
That's true.
to.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I
So,
suppose.
but then,
Okay, let's think about this. I do have. I mean, there's a. Yeah. No, you're right. So nothing attacks the archer.
yeah,
um.
so the archer would be alive, and then at that point I had a gate, two spirit mages, and two archers. So I would have really just kept attacking. Like I would have had to bring something up to the side of Sundervet, probably Spirit Mage, right? Like yeah, I would bring like a low priority type of unit. And
Yeah.
the one that you brought there, was that a slinger or did you brought a slinger up?
I think there would be to the left of Sunderved would be a collar to protect him, and then a slinger right behind it, probably.
Okay, got it, got it. So yeah, so then, well, if it was a slinger to that side, then the archer would have just like be there protecting that position and just attacking it. On the other side, I guess that would be the one that is exposed. So I would have brought the spirit mage on that side to hit Sonderved,
Yeah.
and the archer would have just like moved to attack it just attacked the other color that was on that side or something
Yep.
like that. Just
Yep.
kept trying to get advantage. And then with the gate positioning that I would have had at that point, I would have probably put in on the third row all the way to the other side.
Oh,
Yeah,
on
but
the
the third
third
row
row
would
to
have probably
threaten it.
been better, right? Because you wouldn't have been able to clog it in
Yeah.
that instance, like because the archer would have been in the way, and the mage would have been blocking you, so yeah, you wouldn't be able to clog it, and then I was able to keep bringing stuff to attack through that side. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the game at that point was sealed, right? Like you would have close to just 11 cards left versus like 15 for me, and I would have bigger creatures in the board, better position and all that stuff. So at that point the game seemed to be pretty much sealed just because of all the economic advantage that I have been getting, and that final call of getting like sorry, final play of getting a brute destroyed and the gate destroyed with a single unit, and then getting Sunbreath hit and the other unit kill. Like I think that would have just devastated the
Yeah. I
even the
think
things them farther away from you.
I think I'm with you. I think the only reason I would keep the pressure up is just to hope. I forget what my cards were left in my deck, and you can't check on the replays. But I would just hope that like somehow I would find an in. Like maybe next turn I drew a brute and a collar, and I was able to shove your mage away, and then Sundervid walks up to a Bua and places a gate, or like something to just like get in there, and suddenly you're not occupied. Or maybe I was hoping you still wouldn't have a gate that next turn, like just hoping for some sort of out where I would end up over getting the right cards and end up overwhelming you. Looks like it
Yeah,
would not have happened, but that's what I was hoping for. That's
yeah,
what I
and
would have been hoping for in this
yeah.
hypothetical situation.
Yeah,
um,
and you know what? Like the card that would be there, like Avua wouldn't really need to be in that position because the turn, if I would have done this play, I wouldn't have summoned the lioness. I would have used the rhino to move all the way to that position,
yeah,
and at that point, Avua could just be behind my gate or something like that.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
so it was the same pattern that we saw in the first game, right? Like we were just seeing the same things repeat with this. Like unless if the mountain target like get some few bad rolls and savannah elves just get average rolls, they're just gonna devastate any like those offensives that come forward and just keep getting value
yeah,
and more advantage,
yeah,
which is what was happening here. And with that with those plays with chant of power, then that just really like goes all the way overboard and makes things almost impossible for Sunderland and really hard to sustain, in which you're able to just stay there and not just have to retreat because you don't really have units to try to have him in not a super exposed position.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and that's that. Because these games were so because these two games are both samey, we're like, well, let's sit down again tomorrow and see if we can get one more game in. That would be something a little bit different. Do you want to go through that game as well, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that game just to show the dynamics of how things look like when Mountain Bargath are able to execute the strategy that they like to do in these matchups where the opponent's faction is just going to try to retreat and stay all the way to the back. So they have a path to victory. It's not easy. At the end of the day, it really comes down to like if they get lucky and are able to go first, because that is just huge in this matchup because of the lioness there. And if you really get average rolls, at least average rolls, right? Because we saw what happens in both of these games. Like in the first game, we saw like some crazy bad rolls in which they hadn't even killed a single unit after 3 turns. I think it was until turn 4. So that's something really, really uncommon. On the second game, we also saw some below average rolls. Like were not as abysmal, but still like a lot of like 1-3 ranges, multiple like I think a few whiffs on the even on melee, in which they was just not even like 3 out of 3, many times in which it was critical, and so my units were surviving. So we saw how that went through. So in this game, we got the more average roll. So let's see how things develop. We can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
let this one roll a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
more.
and you said something interesting too at the end of the last game that you felt like this those games or this matchup more than usual you felt like had been at the whims of the dice, or was just a show off of let's see who hits their dice, and that'll determine it. Or maybe you said that about this game
Exactly.
too, so we'll see.
It was exactly. We'll see how the like that domination of the middle of the field, it really boils down to who's getting the roles with this factions,
Yeah.
and that determines if Mountain Bargat is able to establish the presence and fight the battle, or just get completely devastated and have to retreat. And once you retreat, then you're pretty much doomed in this matchup.
Yes, and a quick plug here too for the last tournament that we did. There was a different starting setup where the archer was right here and the lioness was here. This starting setup, to some extent, it's even stronger for Abua because it means when you go second, your lioness isn't dead. But this starting setup means it's a lot less swingy first turn versus second turn because like if you go first, you have a super good lioness. If you go second, your lioness is dead. Interestingly, it also means that this gate spot is open, and there's certain factions like a glory caller plus something something to steal that spot turn one. It could be just absolutely devastating against Savannah Elves. So a quick plug for alternative Savannah Elf setups. Maybe one day we'll get one.
Yeah, and the biggest chance for Mountain Bargat in this matchup is having an explosive start, an aggressive hand. I mean, that's really not something you control,
Yeah,
but I think most of the Bargat victories we'll see are going to look like that, in which they manage to have a very good start and get in their face, and the elves don't get their gates, and then that's how the game goes. So in here,
yeah,
we can see even though, like, well, they didn't get the kill, like, we never saw a lion getting killed. And also a poor roll there. But the thing is, those don't matter unless it's just a sustained set of like if you get those type of rolls for 3-4 turns, that's when they are decisive for a game. But when it just happens for a turn, you can always come back from that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so in there we saw the lioness retreat, which is what you want to do to try to make him bigger.
Yeah, and
You
we'll and I can note about your turn as well. This gate is excellent. This is horrifying for me. Like so suddenly there's so much more pressure coming down this row. And it's interesting too because a lot of times like I'm too scaredy cat to do a gate like this because like a lot if you do gates like this with a lot of factions, a lot of situations, like you'll get in your own way, you're stopping, you're blocking your own ranged lines, and like slingers are really good. But this puts like so maybe I would have been too scared and put it over here. But this puts so much pressure down this lane already. It's a very different game that we're looking at with that first gate.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's something that I, well, kind of like figured out after our first 2 games, in which the gate all the way to the side, that is the one that you traditionally do with them, it's not good enough in this matchup because you have to be so aggressive that you want to bring every single element that's going to allow you to keep putting pressure on that center of the field. So that's why I said, like, you know what, I'm going to try that position.
Yeah, yeah,
So in here, like the Varga didn't had a good start, right? Like they missed the kills, then the SC they got the kills, but you have to keep the pressure. So then you just keep doing it. The same thing, trying to hope that things turn around for you on those rolls. So I had like the brute, the with a collar, so that way I had a chance to open things up for the lioness. And this is an interesting place. So I hate having to use battle leader in this way, in which you're wasting it, like wasting the attack,
Yeah.
but just using it for the move. But in here, it was very important to be able to get these kills. So I said, like, you know what? There's this game gets decided in the first few turns, really. Like the momentum sometimes just decides the game. So I needed to have that bonus to make sure, well, have a 75% chance of killing the lioness, and then being able to still use the brute to try to kill the other one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
see, I got all the rolls here. Even like I try to set them up in a way in which the offs were in my advantage, everything 70% and up, and I
Yeah.
got them. And this gives you the chance of shifting the momentum significantly. Now you can see that they don't have any units, and you have a presence here, so things look very different to what we were seeing in the last few turns.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the elves can hit hard. They can hit you hard really easily and very fast. So we see the usual rhinos that we'll be seeing in these games, which get rid of your slingers. And Avua, it's a powerhouse at 5 melee, 5 ranged, and we saw that like they get the 4 out of 5, which kind of like stops that offensive there. Then the archer, like it's hard for the archer, like he's not gonna get a 4 out of 4 unless he does, and then she does, and then you don't have a board now, right? And now things turn around completely, because if the opponent gets the perfect rolls, like last turn, the Vargat got the perfect rolls, they wipe the board. This time, the elves, they wipe the board, right? So the thing is that momentum of who can keep getting those perfect rolls to be getting the momentum of the game and being able to move forward. And here, I had to risk. I was like, you know what? You never want to have to go with the Thundervet that way. But I
Yeah.
was like, unless I do this, I lose this momentum of the game, and then like I have to retreat or something like that. I didn't have probably units. Let's
Yeah.
pause the game just for a second here. And this was turn. Okay, this was turn 6. So in here in my hand, I had I had 2 martial forces, I had 2 colors, and I had a brute. Right. So my options were the brute was the obvious thing just for the rhino. I had to play it there.
Yeah.
But the other guys were not really. The colors didn't serve any purpose around there, right? So I was like, you know what? I have to go with Sunderved for it. Like I need to get that 4/4, and then I could use the martial force to try to occupy that position. And that way, I want to get rid of 1 martial force because you don't want to be hanging both. So that was a good use for it. So I just had to risk it because that only happened. I had to take the chance because you were able to wipe the board, right? If one of those brutes survived, if the slinger survived, that opens more options for me to like bring the slinger behind Sundervet to make sure that I kill the archer or those type of things. But because you had such great rolls, they just meant that I had to take more risks to try to get back in the game and hope that I also get some good rolls to do that play. So let's see what happens. So I got the 4 out of 4, which was huge. Like the game really relied on that. I didn't get the kill on the Rhino, but that wasn't like so significant.
Yeah.
I was able to take your front gate, and you didn't have any gates, so that really make things like remove some of the options that you have in there as the elves.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Taking a risk, but sometimes you have to.
Mhm.
I'm surprised. I feel like I would have tried to like mitigate risk by like sending a glory caller up here to hit the archer as well. But I'm
I didn't had
guessing,
enough moves. Didn't
yeah,
had enough moves for it.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
had to move the brute, move the other glory caller to try to like get the kill on the rhino with a 4 out of 4.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
and then I needed one of them for the martial forces.
yeah, yeah. I see. I
Because
see.
if I move the other one, I wouldn't have like a one to protect me from the front, which is a priority there,
Yeah.
so that you deny them at least that summoning spot. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Otherwise, it would have made sense just to bring another for protection. But
Yep.
if I manage to wipe the board here, like also kill the rhino, then things completely shift again for me, right? Like I have the center, you don't have any units, I have a beneficial position. So that's what I went for, just trying to get like those perfect shots there to try to turn the game around.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, and I can Hit
Let's
play
see
and
what happens.
see what I did. Yeah, last turn I was planning on discarding Mickey Endu, but then the turn went so well that I held her. I was like, oh, I can play her and a Spirit Mage. Maybe that'll be good. And I do go with her this game. Though there's a question whether I should have, because not necessarily the tempo play if you just need more bodies on the board. So yeah, I mean you can keep that in mind whether you think it was worth it going for holding Mickey into this game, or if I should have just leaned into the commons even more.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, this board, it's not like it was a bad play or anything like that, but it's just a tough.
It's
It's
yeah,
just the camp thing that I was mentioning, which it's easy for them just to kill them really easily. That's why I prefer just to play like more rhinos, more lionesses.
yeah,
So in here, you manage to like, well, punish the side that I left open. This was a huge thing. Like you got those whiffs on the brute, right? Like it was 4 health, so it wasn't expected that Makina was going to be able to kill it. But I think the you attacked with the rhino on that brute, right? And you got a whiff there.
yeah. I got a what did
You
I?
got a
Yeah,
1 out of 2.
one
Yeah.
out of two.
So that was big, right? Like this allowed me to turn the game again because like you were going with a probably like 80%, 80 something percent kill chance there and didn't get that. So now I'm able to just consolidate this offensive, this aggression. Let's see what I did here.
Yep, and it's worth note too. Like I'm afraid here. I still don't have a gate. I'm afraid you're gonna find a way to like push Mickey Endu and like steal like 3 gate spots, and that could just be game over. So um
Yeah. And not getting the magic force you to discard like well you ended the turn with only 2 magic, which is tough because like I know already that you're gonna not be able to attack me, do even your 3 attacks when you can only summon a single unit.
yeah,
It's very
yeah.
likely.
Which yeah,
So in
and
here,
Mickey Endu didn't help with that, spending all my
yeah,
magic in one place. Go ahead.
exactly. So in here, I just while I clean up the small units, plant that forward gate, which is like very important for the Varga. Like it allows you to just keep the pressure. I managed to completely take over that side of the board with the collar. And then the brute, I don't really care about him because he's already like done his job.
Yeah,
And Makinda is already at 6, so the brute got the hit.
I'll back up here.
All right, so
Yep, yep. So
yeah, you didn't
it's a
really
it's
have a lot of options here, right? Like because you only had one summoning spot, so it was either the lioness or the archer. You didn't try to fight the other side. You just brought the archer.
yep.
And yeah, that's it. Okay.
Um,
So then the rolls, the Makinda, did she kill something on the back? I think that was at least you got the kill there.
yeah.
You needed the magic. Yeah.
Killed the
So that
glory
was good.
collar,
Like
killed the
you
brute.
went for, you really needed the magic, so you cleaned that side of the board. But now I have that front gate, right? So I'm able to keep the pressure.
Yeah, and since you were like the key part here is you were occupying the spot. Because you were occupying the spot, like I there's there's no way this turn for me to take that back. Well, but I guess besides some like if I had Chant of Weaving and Rhino, I could actually. But it's it's tough. And if I miss it this turn and next turn you have with a higher health unit, there is literally no way to get that gate spot back unless you have Midi Kairu. So like yeah, you've really planted some forward pressure here. It's going to be a totally different game from here on out.
Exactly. And there in this turn there was something. The only thing that I would change from the way you've been playing is that gate positioning because that side is already lost. So using that gate just to slow me down a little bit won't make that much of a difference because my collar is already blocking your side. So it will be hard for you to even like start trying to put pressure there. And you really need the gate. Like you're a little bit choking from not having good summoning spots. So I would have gone with all the way to the left, putting it on the third row or second row or
Yeah,
something like that just to have a threat, right? Like I'm not able to just keep moving this way and have Sunderbed there without having him be at some risk. So I think that it would have been a better use of your gate on that side than just putting it on the other side. Because on the other side, like as long as I just keep a unit there, which I can just keep the brute, then I'm really good. Like I'm gonna be able to destroy it either quickly or like you won't be able to summon stuff and put pressure on that side, right? That's the kind of like the point there.
Yeah. Let's see if I could. Yeah, so I was it was a bit of a cheeky play. I did it hoping. I still had two more gates in my deck, and I was only holding Chant of Weaving. So I was being a little a little goofy, thinking, all right, well, you're not gonna think I'm gonna have a gate, but I'm gonna have Chant of Weaving, which maybe you won't play around entirely. So I'm gonna be fine on this side for one more turn, and hopefully next turn I'll draw the gate anyway. So then I'll have a gate on that side. So I was hoping to like have my cake and eat it too, like slow you down on this
Yeah.
side a little bit, and then also have the gate for next turn after the Chant of Weaving. Didn't work out for me. Didn't draw a gate.
Well, actually, no, it played out for you. Like now that you say it that way, that's exactly what I thought. Like you played a psychological game and it worked because I moved it. My next turn was based on the fact that hey, he cannot really summon summon any unit.
Well, there we go.
You're I didn't thought about the weaving. Like that's an event that most not everyone plays, and we're playing a bit fast. And I thought like even if he has the weaving, I'm at 10 life, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it's not like you usually play around weaving when you're very low on life, right? And you have to be thinking about those possibilities. But
Yep.
yeah, I guess it actually made sense because what I did was around the fact that you couldn't summon, and then you capitalized exactly around that. So let's see how that went. Okay, so I got the units to give the pressure. I only had two magic. So I thought like, you know what? No rush. Well, I didn't did that other stuff yet, but wait, what was that? That's 0-3? Oh no, no,
Uh,
I hadn't. Okay, so yeah. So then I just went with a safe play just to kill the unit here and just keep the positioning, right? So I still didn't really commit to anything. So
yeah.
I misremember this, but at this point, I was just trying to keep the pressure and try to get like beneficial trades. But then you did a like a good play here. Like if you managed to kill this guy, then you were going to be able to kill both of my units and just keep the tit for tat there. But another like whiff here, just 1 out of 4. I mean, you need a 3 out of 4, which wasn't a guarantee. But it
Yeah.
really all depends if you manage to get the last 2 out of 2. Like it would average out if that was the case. Okay, but
Did
that didn't
not.
happen. And I guess getting the 3 out of 4 is never a sure thing. Like there was a chance you only get 2 out of 4 and then needed to use this. So you missed getting the 2 kills here, and this gave me more another chance of. I guess maybe in here I got a little bit greedy, but I was like, hey, I can just finish off Makinda, especially because you didn't have gates around that. So this is what I was remembering. I came here thinking like, well, he's not able to summon something on my side. If I get the kill, I needed a 6 out of 7, which is not a sure thing. It was a risk, I guess, at the end of the day. It was like a 50-50 or something like that. So I took a chance here. Even though the game I think was going pretty well for me, I still felt that I had to take this risk. So that's how tough of a matchup this is for this guy. So and then this is when you went for the big play here.
Yep. And I forget. I must have discarded a Chant of Power or something because I feel like I recall not having two of them. If I had Chant of Power right now, there's a decent chance this was game. If
Yeah,
my
yes.
last card was
Yeah,
Chant of Power.
exactly. It could have been like decisive there, even more decisive. Actually, yeah, just probably game.
Yeah.
So I
So
thought I was safe in that position, but yeah, like there, you always have to consider weaving. It's a possibility, and then like that fighter, I thought I was safe with a fighter because you think like, well, they won't be able to come with a bua because they wouldn't have anything protecting them on the other side, but they can always have a gate. Like it doesn't have to be the weaving. Like you could have just come forward with a bua, even if you didn't have the weaving, put a gate there, kill the fighter, and then just start keep softening up Sunderbit. So the lesson there is that you have to be extremely cautious of how you use Sundervet. Like he needs to be there because of the bonus, but make sure that you don't expose him in such a way that they could just keep softening him up that way.
yeah.
And because once he's at 3-4, like those rhinos are going to be a nightmare. Like so, it's better if you're just in a position that it's really
Yeah.
hard for them
Yeah.
to do those side attacks and then just hit you for 4 range or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's that
All
turn.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, so I had to, well,
Got the
I
Brutus
wanted to keep
nice.
moving forward. In here now, the gates were going to be a factor, so I prioritized. blocking your summoning spot. I had to protect myself against that lion because I knew a chant of power could just make it be a killer. So I just put a low priority target around there and try to keep trading favorably. And then finally, I had a like a spare attack to finish off that gate on the other side.
Yep. And yeah, and this is I think all of these plays like I felt pretty behind. I mean, I know like like Sunderved just trips up once, exposes himself once, and then Savannah Elves can just jump on that. But like you with that forward gate, like I suppose it's something I haven't really been drawing attention to here, unfortunately, is like I've had to discard very heavily to keep up with you. Like I've had to drop a lot. Maybe let's even like scooch back here and just
Mhm.
like see it,
Yeah.
see some of the
Well,
cards I've had to
the
discard.
yeah, if you look just at your status of your
Yeah, sorry.
well, yeah, count how many different I guess you can do. But that was kind of like the focus there of just doing beneficial trades, just trading with cheaper units, like with the
Yeah,
fighters with hit for three, but are only one magic type of situation. So that you have to discard heavily to keep up because all your units cost two, like the big ones. So at the end, we can see the result of that. Like I had an advantage of like five magic or six magic in the total resources.
yeah,
Right. So if you go back to the turn we were
yeah.
on,
I'm getting there.
and
There we go.
here, okay, the next turn, like
Uh,
after one more turn.
or no, I think I don't think we've. Oh yes, no. This
Yeah,
was your
we
turn.
saw the next
I
one,
see.
which
I
I
see.
killed.
Yeah,
Those here. So in here we can see I have 8 cards, I have 5 magic, and I have a lot of units on the board. And you have seven cards and 2 magic, and only 1 unit on the board, right? So we can see here there's like a big gap on resources.
yeah.
So that was kind of like what I was just trying to bank on at this point. Just keep that pressure, keep having you have to come into disadvantageous positions. So let's see what happened afterwards.
Yeah. And sorry, what one more about that is like that really highlights an interesting part of Summoners for me is that a lot of aggro factions, I think like in the Mountain Vargoth are maybe the best for this, like being aggressive isn't assassination. Being aggressive can be econ as well. And pretty much every aggressive faction has that as an option. Like if you put the pedal on and the opponent has to discard heavily just to meet the demand so they're not just totally overrun, suddenly they've lost like tons of their pieces. Like well, like going back there, I dropped a chant of power early on because I just needed to have enough magic to meet all the threats you're putting here. So by the end of that, I've fallen behind on econ. So just putting the pressure on, yeah, it can sometimes give you an outright win by blocking gates or assassinations, but it can also give you an econ win if you just put your opponent in awkward situations time and time again, which is what I was feeling, and why I felt behind at this point.
hmm Yeah, and in here, well, like I was playing in such a way I wasn't really playing around weaving because, as we said, like it's not a card that you see that often, and you usually only see one. Many times the other one is discarded. So it's interesting how in this game, like both weaving plays are the ones that got you into the game and got you into those assassination plays. So let's see what happened here because I can already see like the way I positioned this linger was thinking like, yeah, this guy is gonna like just protect Sunderbed, but I can see how in there, like the Rhino coming from this side is gonna be problematic.
Yeah, and I think don't have time to go check it, but I know I played one entangling. I'm pretty sure I had to discard the other one because I was afraid, or maybe I played it too.
Mhm.
I don't think it's in there. If I have entangling right now, like if I had drawn entangling with these cards, entangling plus weaving plus rhino plus chant of power, okay, that's like a lot of cards that I need to have right now. But if I do have that, you're just dead immediately. Like so, like if Savannah Elves have the time they need to build the hand they want to, it's just absolutely lethal all of the time. But I just don't have that. I can't hope to have this perfect hand of 4 different combo pieces at a point like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll hit play.
Exactly. And there's so many pieces to it that it's hard to play around. Like if you see this board, you think like, yeah, no, that's a safe spot. Like he's in a pretty good spot. But
Yeah.
check this out. Like that lion is there that you think like cannot kill your caller because he has 4 health. Like not really. There's a power. And then that Slayer that you think that a Rhino cannot reach it because there's no summoning spots, not really. Like it just showed up. So then you get the kill there. So you get the 5 dice in there. I mean, it was the odds were not in your favor there. It was hard for you to get the kill, but it puts you into the range of the like a Rhino just closing the deal, or even just getting that. Let's see what were the.
Yep.
So it shows how even though things had been going my way the whole game, how you almost get that stuff. So in there, you had a 35% shot. I think it was at 6, right? So
Yeah.
35% shot of getting the kill. So it wasn't super
Makes
likely,
sense.
but just sending me to 2 and having that front gate and all that stuff now just means that I have to hide from the rhinos. And there are so many ways in which, like, it's hard to cover 4 flanks, right? When you have 3 moves an hour in this position. So
Yeah.
this was a tough, tough hit in there
Yeah.
for Sunderbit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's see what
And
happens.
yeah, sounds good. And 30% when you're behind, you take 30% as well.
Oh, exactly. In that game, you had to take it because like you were way behind, so you didn't really had any other better option.
I remember
So
you. I remember
here,
you had to think about this turn for a while. Yeah, I'll pause it.
well, in here, it was clear that the Rhino was my biggest threat, right? Like the
Yeah,
Rhino was the one that was gonna get me, and I couldn't prevent it. There was no way. I was seeing it like if I could just block all my angles,
yeah,
and there was just no way. So in there, and I thought it for a while because yeah, I had 5 magic and I had Barn, I had 3 slingers in hand and Quen. So I was thinking like, hey, I'm way ahead on resources. Maybe I can just surround myself by with slingers.
yeah,
But there was always like one side that was exposed, or I wasn't even able to like attack you. And I like those 2 things, like the 7/3 Lioness and the Rhino, is something you have to deal with, right? Like you can not simply ignore it. But I didn't have enough moves to do everything that I wanted. So at the end, I thought like, you know what? As long as I kill that Rhino, the best I can do is throw 6 melee on that Rhino and still hide Thunderbed and block all the other positions in such a way that I wouldn't have like any open flank. I think at this point you didn't have any extra rhinos, or not sure if I even checked. I probably checked because I needed. Well, I think it wasn't relevant because needed to cover my flank either way. So
yeah,
let's see what I did. I was really thinking like if I kill that rhino, this game is over, right? If the rhino survives, then I think I just lose. So I had to cover the other spot here, the other gate spot to cover that flank. Barney here has like the ugly 2 out of 4. Then the other guy also doesn't kill him. And then I bring the brute to be relevant. I needed to start softening up the lioness. So I needed to attack him and block that side so they cannot attack Sunderbed. And this pretty much just gives you the opening to go
yep.
for the 2 for 2, right? Which
And
is something I couldn't really avoid. I didn't had enough moves to do this stuff.
yeah, I'm curious. Six melee on 5. What are the odds there? Let's
I think
just
it's
take a
like
peek.
50/50, something like that. Oh,
Seven,
actually, it's supposed to be 74. Yeah, look at
74.
that.
So you
So
got a good chance. But I also
yeah,
think
that's
I like
probably
that. Yeah, go ahead.
that's probably what I went for that one because I was trying to do the ram and then didn't have like the 2 attacks with it. And if I use a slinger, my odds were lower. So yeah, like 74, 75 is like a good shot in these situations. But then it just opened the door, right, for the elves just to close the game with a rhino. You had enough counters on it.
They're lethal.
Mhm.
And we miss.
And so we see like at the end, the game just came down to who got like the last rolls, right? Like if I got the melee, the game is over. If I didn't, then you get the shot. Like if you get the 2/2, it's over, even though the game had been really favorable to the Varga.
Yeah.
At this point, I
The
was like, hey, this is my chance now to go for the like 11. And well, no, and this one was more like I checked the odds and it was like 80% on my side or something like that, just to get the 1 turn kill.
yeah.
I could do that or just try to finish off your units. But then I thought, like, I'm not sure if you discarded any rhinos. I don't even not even remember if I checked if you had more rhinos,
Yeah.
which is what could maybe get me. But I was like, ah,
I
you know
had, I
what?
had
It's
only
like a new.
summoned two, so if you did check, you would have been afraid.
So maybe I thought like, hey, why like look for a very hard to position myself thing? Let's
Yeah.
just go for the kill because
Yeah.
I had battle leader there, and I had Barnes, so it was a lot of dice. Let's see how much it was. I had the two slingers, so I could move Barn here, do battle leader. So it was 8 melee and 6 ranged. So I like those odds. I was like, yeah, why not? Let's just do it. It's
Yeah, that's pretty decent chance. Yeah, I'd be curious if there is a play where you could be totally safe. I suspect there is, and that would probably be the technically correct play. But it's a live game, like we want to have fun. We want the game to be over.
yeah, it was a 77% chance of getting the kill. So it wasn't super high, right? So
Yeah,
the question in there is if there's a safe play to still kill the rhino and weaken or kill the lioness and have
yeah,
some of it safe. And as you say, there might be, but we were just playing fast. I didn't want to have
yeah,
to
yeah,
like sit there thinking for 5-10 minutes to see if there's a play that covers all possibilities. So I just went for it. At the
yeah,
end of the day, the point was just to see the dynamics of the game, not who wins. This one, like we
yeah,
wanted to see and we saw like we had already seen it that the game was decided on the last turns on those rolls. It could have gone either way. If
yeah,
I kill the rhino, it goes my way. If you get the kill, it goes your way. If you get like, we had those turns in which it was just like that.
yeah.
So we saw
And
how the economic advantage had developed and all that.
yeah, and I'll 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 mention as well because you say like yeah those last turns it just came down to the rolls but something that could be lost there is the reason it came down to the rolls is because you had me up against a corner you had me up against a corner and I said okay I'm losing this game, time to go for some Hail Marys, time to go for these like 30% chance to win the game plays, because I have because I have no other options, I'm gonna take a 30% chance I win, 70% chance I lose. Like that's my best play. And in competitive summoner wars in tough and even matchups, like that's not uncommon for something to come down to that. Like what you want is a consistent strategy that'll just be 100% win, and that's what you're going for. But sometimes your back's against the wall, and so you go for a play for that. But that's still a win for the Vargath. Like that's still a win that you were able to put me in a position where I had to go for an unlikely chance to win the game. I know it doesn't feel great because that's outside of your control. That's like just like in those plays, there's a 30% chance that you lose the game, but you still manage to put the game in a situation where the majority of the outcomes will be in your favor, and that's just what you got to do in competitive play.
Exactly. Like when you're behind around like 8 magic, 5 to 8 magic and resources, you have to take those risky shots and really go be more aggressive going for the summoner, right? Because your only chance is just getting that kill in which you manage to score those last points there. And the interesting thing to see is that the reason why I was able to get you in that position at the end of the day just came down to me getting those rolls in my favor, like the Varga, across all those turns that we were exchanging in the center, they were in my favor, and you got like a few whiffs that I just kept capitalizing on. And in the other games, we saw the opposite. Like the same strategy was attempted, but the rolls were awful for the Vargath. They were in favor of the elves, and then it was just a blowout because that offensive was never able to take place. And this is like if someone, for example, just never really mounts a credible offensive trying to take the center, then even if the rolls go in their favor, they might lose, right? So
Yeah,
this is doing the strategy that we're claiming. We believe, like I believe, that's the optimal strategy that the Vargat has to follow because it cannot really compete on the range game. So I think everyone would agree that the Vargat has to be pressuring and taking over the center and trying to choke those spots. So it's a little bit like disheartening to know that this matchup is one of those in which it's heavily luck reliant. Like you really, if you like, it doesn't matter what you like. If you follow the optimal strategy and you don't get the rolls going your way, you might still like lose. even if they're just slightly right in the favor of the opponent, or a key kill, you don't get the key kill, and that just snowballs. So it's one of those matchups. The reality is that
Yeah.
there's many like that in Summoner Wars, just because of the nature of the game. But this one is pretty marked, and I think most of the ones against Savannah Elves, just because of how strong they are, and the
Yeah.
fact that all decks have to, like most decks, really have to pressure them. I think there might be very few factions that can just play like a range game against them. They tend to be like this. Like most of these games, like last season, we saw the Savannah Elves versus Wayfarers.
Yeah.
And remember how it was also a very deterministic game in which you had to do this one thing with the Wayfarers. You had your shot, but if things didn't go your way fast, then you would just lose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's fair, and I think we tend to see those um more in like the aggressive dynamics, or the like where things are really dice dependent will be those games where like one faction really needs to take the aggressive aggression early on, and the other faction needs to defend, and so like then it's just like where normally a normal game of Summoner Wars, the luck sort of averages out. It really starts to come down to, did you draw that early gate? How did those early kills go? Did you get some big early whiffs in the beginning? So yeah, so that's the that's a different point about dice than um than I was making earlier. And you're right. Like yeah, the Mountain Vargath's key strategy here is that you have to go forward. If you retreat, you're probably gonna lose. So you need to rely on the drawing. You need to rely on the dice as part of that strategy. And yeah, some
Mhm.
matchups are like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's go to the per card analysis to wrap
Yeah,
up.
sounds good. Um, Want to start with, well, so Sven is probably the easier one to talk about. Let's go with them.
Mhm. All right. So this one is really looks like the traditional SE matchup, right? In which you're gonna try to do the big combos whenever, because when the opponent's summoner has to move forward, the chant of power really shines, right? It's easy to find those combos without having to even like risk a bua. So the chant of power is a high priority. Many times you just need one. So if you end up with two, I always discard one of them because that's all you need. And the fact that you're going to have to hold it for a while until you find the right moment, and that you need to also, many times you want to, like, it shines when you manage to do it the same turn as entangling. So that's why I wouldn't really keep both of them, but always try to have one. If you have two, like if you have an early one, it's okay to use one of them just for value. Even if you don't, like, if you're not targeting the summoner, but if you're being able to do something like destroy a gate and hit a unit or something like that, it's worth it, right? Even if you get like 4 more melee or something like that out of it, sometimes it's worth the one magic. If it's something that's going to turn the tide of those exchanges that we've seen, in which you manage to wipe the board because you get that extra attack value into your attack. So that's a similar like thing that's a chant of power is gonna that's gonna be the case for many of the matchups. Then with the champions, I would not prioritize them in this game. As usual, minimum way out of discard. Midi Kiryu, it's sometimes he's playable. Like if you find yourself with too much magic, but I don't think like this matchup you're gonna have too much magic, because there's gonna be a lot of trade, a lot of violence. The Varga, they hit hard, so they're going to be killing your big units fast. So you'll need to be able to keep bringing them on. So I wouldn't really bring this guy out. He gets killed really fast. Like 7 for the Varga is sometimes like just 2 attacks. Like they can end up killing him. At least with 3 attacks, it's almost like the odds are in their favor to kill him. So it would be a very specific, narrow situation in which I play him. Same thing for Makinda. I mean, I would rather just play my 5 archers and play like most of my rhinos and a few lionesses than play Makinda, which she's going to be serving the same like the same role that any archer, and might be able to survive one turn, but she's not really going to shine that much. So I wouldn't prioritize her, but there are some scenarios in which you might have to play her. So the events, Chant of Entangling is just most of the time is too good to discard. Like you really need to be in a bad spot to not be able to get some value out of it. Remember, you don't always need to hit a home run. Sometimes you're like just getting 2 attacks with a lion without any other event like chant of power or anything is good enough. Like just being able to kill a brute with a lion, with a single lion, that's good enough. So you don't have to hold it for that long, unless you see the possibility that there's a big play coming, or you're pretty far behind and you're already planning for that big combo kill because that's your only way out at that point. So that's when you usually hold it a little bit more than usual. Then the chant of growth, you just want value out of it, try to get at least 3 boosts. And I use it most of the time because you really want boosts. Like there's most turns you're gonna find yourself in a situation in which you prefer the 3 boosts than just getting 1 more magic out of the discard. And chant of weaving is the one that I discard most of the time. I guess it can be useful for those unexpected big turns in which you suddenly like just kill them. So keep that in mind. If you don't have your initial gates, maybe you give it a little bit more priority, because if they already are at your front gate, then this thing definitely gives you some value of an unexpected unit on the side, or just allow you to keep doing those 3 attacks a turn, even if you're not able now to summon them and put them in a position just from your front gate, from your initial gate. So a little bit more valuable than usual, I would say, in this matchup, but still, like, you will probably be discarding at least one of them, because the thing is, if you only use it to summon 1 unit, you're not getting that much value unless that unit is going to be like surrounding someone or flanking or doing something like that. Just use, but if you get 2 boosts out of it, then it's much better, right? Like that's the way I usually try to use it, in such a way that I have at least 4 magic and this to bring 2 units out of it. And otherwise, it's really more of a very specific situation if you just, or out of desperation, if you just play it for a single one.
Mhm.
And then the unit, so the Rhino is shines more than usual. Like in many matchups, the Rhino, you just play 1 or 2. In this matchup, I would say you're going to be playing 3 or 4, just because the Vargoth is always going to be clustered, so it's going to be easy to get more than 1 damage out of the trample, and it's going to be easy to go and kill those lingers, which is what makes those forward advances so dangerous, because they're able to run down anything you put in front, because they can attack for 3 melee and 3 range from behind on the same flank. So this guy allows you to stop that. It's okay to just like trample the thing on the front, trample the slinger, and then finish off the slinger. Like at 1 life, you're sure like you're going to be killing it most of the time. And even if they destroy the Rhino afterwards, I would say like he already did his job, because they'll have to spend 2 attacks on him, but and they have a limited amount of range units, which is just a slinger. So I would use it even in those situations, and I would use like the 4 of them. In this matchup, might be the one of the few in which you play the 4 rhinos. The Spirit Mage is going to be the usual unit in which just comes down to give you the boost for the Rhino or the Lioness, and then just tries to kill something on the back. Right? Like when you're in those positions on the, or that you want to like, yeah, shoot something on the side, that if they want to try to come then and kill the Spirit Mage, you know that they're going to be outside of the range of the Sundervet +1. So that way, it's not even like a sure thing that they're going to be able to kill him. So that's the way you want to use him. Many times you'll be using a few, because simply because you need some 1 magic units, and that's the only one that you have. So it's just the usual for the Spirit Mage. The Archer, like that one, it's just always good, right? It's you're attacking for 4 most of the time. They're going to be coming at you through the center, so it's going to be super easy to just be already have something in your aim that you're able to shoot for 4. So you're going to play as many as you can to just try to keep them away. And finally, the Lioness. It's a little bit less useful than usual. Like you'll just play a couple. The closer they are to you, the more you might be using, because you'll need to be hitting hard, and you'll be able to play her from a safe spot in which only 1 flank is left open. So it's even hard for them to try to finish it off with a dual attack. So when she survives like more than 1 turn, that's when you're really getting a lot of value out of her. So played in a turn in which you're able to put 2 counters on her plus the 3rd one from the attack, At 5, it's not going to be easy for them to kill her, even if they do 2 attacks on her. And try to not send her forward that much. Like sometimes, like in the first game, the way you played her, in which you were just keeping her closer to your side, so that the Vargat didn't really had a good way of attacking her. It's better because the Vargat will just have to keep coming, right? And they don't have like a good range game to try to just be shooting the lion from the back. So
Yeah.
they'll have to send something forward most of the times, and you're going to be getting more value if you manage just to be trading on the back with your Lioness.
Yeah.
Any other thing you want to add?
Yeah, no, it's the usual strategy. I mean, maybe a little bit more you're willing to lean into tempo rather than econ. Like so, some matchups where the opponent isn't going to be coming forward with towards you as much, you can just like really sit back and just grind out those boosts. But here you're okay. Like if you need to discard a bit more to just keep the Mount Vargoth off your turf, like if you can just keep them from like getting to your forward gate spots and getting over there, like you have so many dice, you're gonna clear the board eventually. They're gonna have to retreat. They're gonna be out of luck. So it's okay if you need to burn a little bit to keep the tempo there.
Exactly. And other than that, is less priority on Lioness, more priority on Rhinoceros, more priority on Weaving than usual, less priority on Champs, but not that different. Like the strategy is going to be the usual, it's just the priorities that vary slightly because they're going to be in your face and they're going to be the ones coming forward.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, ready for Varga?
So let's take a look at the Varga. All right. So the Varga is also close to a one trick action. Not necessarily. I mean, they can play defensively if the other deck is an aggressive deck, but
Yeah.
against decks that like to stay back, they always have to follow the try to rush you strategy, and not rush you like super aggressively, because the Vargoth always moves gradually. They have to move as a unit, and they have to be like brute forcing that advance, right? Like the way the brute starts moving the units, occupy summoning spots. So that's the way they're going to move. Sunderved will have to be in the middle of it. In many games, you use Sunderved to just blow things up because he can hit really hard. In this match, it's going to be a bit harder just because of how hard they can punish you back if you do that. Even sometimes, like when you don't leave any flank open, because they can just blow up one of the blockers and attack you, as we saw in a couple of the games. Stronghold is going to be a card that you will most likely just be discarding both of them, because the thing is there's really no turning back in this matchup. Like you'll have to go forward, and like you cannot really in the middle of the game say like, okay, I'm just gonna go back, because they're gonna be like, okay, I'll just keep boosting everything, let me know when you want to come here, and you'll have to come here. Like you don't have a choice. Like those lingers cannot really just be a unit that shoots. They always need something in front of it, and or that like they're, if you do that, like they're already close to the opponent's side, and that means you're giving the targets. So, and you're not going to be hitting hard enough to even kill those targets because of how much health they have. So the only scenario where you're going to be playing Stronghold is if you find yourself in one of those type of all-in plays in which they left Tavua exposed because they try to do a big play, and now you're low on life. But now you can hit hard and just go back and maybe do a 10 out of 10 or whatever, or just bring them into a very like 2-3 life, something like that, and then you can retreat with Sundervet and hope you are able to like manage the game in some other way to deal the last damage. Or you're so far ahead on econ. For example, in that last game that we showed, like I was so far ahead on econ that I could have played a stronghold at the end when you left me 2 life, like going very aggressive on your units, try to wipe you, and then just send Sunderland back. And I'm so far ahead on Econ that I can finish off the game with the units not having the bonus, right? So of course there are always with cards certain scenarios that there might be playable, but those are the only ones that Stronghold is going to be useful in this game. So it's most likely that you'll have to just discard them because you'll need the magic. There's going to be a lot of violence on this one.
Yeah.
Then the champions, Quen is not particularly good on this one. It's not like the elves are like a cluster faction that just has a lot of units together. So, and most of the time, Quen is not good against most factions. So you discard him. Thoradin is also not the one that you'll be playing. He's just too expensive for this matchup. They don't have small things that you can really trample, or and they can hit really hard. They have chant of power, so his health, it's not that great, right? When a lion can just hit him for 8 or
Yeah.
1 extra magic. So he would go down hard. I would just discard him most of the time, right? Like as always, there's always that situation in which like you use him to deal the final attack because he's behind the gate or something like that. But those are corner case scenarios that you'll make the judgment when you're in the game, depending how things develop. So
Yeah.
that's Thoradin. And then Varn, he's like one of the best champions in the whole game, must play champion. I would always like try to play it unless you're in a very particular situation in which you just need the magic for that kill that you're already planning in some other way. But other than that, you'll have enough stuff that you're discarding because of the events that are not useful in this match to be able to play him, and he'll allow you to be plugging those gaps to after the attacks so that they don't kill him so easily, or to protect Sunderbed. So that's the usual for the champs. The events, battle leader is a little bit less useful than usual because you won't be able to be attacking that much with Sunderbed. Like maybe you won't be able to attack at all with him. Maybe you are able to attack once or twice. If you find yourself in a situation in which you can get the value of battle leader, as usual, you'll do it and try to blow up the board, even if you leave yourself slightly exposed. Like when you're at 12, 10, like you can leave yourself exposed if you're doing a play that will just kill everything on the opponent's side of the board. And it's okay at that point, right? But you won't be able to do that during like a big part of the game. So I usually try to play both of them. In this game, maybe I would discard the first one if I'm not even close to being able to use it, and the second one if I'm already low on life. Because even if you don't expose yourself, like they might find ways of hitting you with the chant of weavings or things like that that they can do, like we saw in the third game. Even though I only exposed him like twice openly, like leaving one flank. After that, like the other 10 life came down to like different plays, combo plays that the elves played. Then the martial forces, it's one that you will use also less than usual because of the fact that Thundervet won't be able to be that into the action, but it is still useful when you're trying to take over that front of the game, like we saw the front of the gates and the middle of the board, like we saw in these games in which once you send him forward, you really need to make sure that you're covering that front gate spot, and then that exposes you to the on the flanks. So this can allow you to plug one of those gaps. So at least at most you're leaving only one flank open. It's too risky to probably leave both of them, as that could really just put you in like exposed to 10 dice or something like that if they do an entangling play or something to that effect. Then we have, okay, ramming advances, the usual situational event that it might be more valuable than usual because you need to be fast, you need to be aggressive, you need to be clogging the front before they get those side gates. Once they get those side gates, it's a lot harder to sustain that. So if you get a chance for the ramming advance, even for something as simple as we saw in this game that allow you to kill the archer and just move all the way forward, to also give the bonus to the other slinger to try to kill the lioness, like that's good enough, right? Like that's something that you're getting the value because that momentum at the beginning of the game is key to for the Vargath. Like if you start slow with the Vargath, you'll probably lose. But if you manage to pull out like a very aggressive play at first, then you have like a big chance that they are not able to get back from that if they don't have the gauge, if they don't discard properly and they cannot put enough units on the board or things like that. You want to open up all those scenarios. So ramming advance has more value than it usually has in most matchups.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the units, then the brute in this one is much more useful because there's going to be a lot of exchanges in the middle of the board, and whenever they come forward to try to like hit one of your units on the flank to finish it off in a single turn, like with the one that they have on the front, The brutes are going to allow you to keep pushing back, even though they're bringing units forward. So I would be playing more of them than usual. Like maybe I would be playing probably four in this matchup. I think that's close to the amount that I played in these games. Not sure if I even played like the five of them, but at least my guess is I would be looking to play four of these guys, just because the Ram really allows you to just keep pushing the momentum and cover those summoning spots that they have if they don't get those side gates soon.
Yeah.
Then the Slinger, as usual, like you'll play as many as they can, even though like they don't shine that much in this matchup because of the Rhinos. They are still just too valuable. Like they'll allow you to be killing in one turn the archers, the lions, when they are like on the front, right? Like those are not going to be coming to you like the rhinos, in which you'll be able to flank them on one side with Sunderved and any unit on the other side. So the other units, like you want to try to kill them in a single turn, and the slingers are the only ones that most of the time allow you to do that, because you'll have your front unit, which is the brute, the fighter, or the other dude, the caller, yeah, the caller, and this guy on the back, and then just hope that they don't kill it immediately with a rhino, and if they do that, at least they have to invest like two or three boosts on the rhino to be able to send him all the way to the clinger, and then that gives you the chance many times of having Sunderved have a target to attack without exposing him themselves that much. So
Yeah.
try to use them in that way in which the rhino that is going to be coming around, he's going to be close enough to Sunderved to then try to kill him in a single turn. Finally, the fighters are going to be important too, just because you'll need a unit that is cheap, that is able to hit for 3 melee, to be able to come up on top on the economic exchanges. Like their units are also going to hit for 3, if you count the trample from the rhino, like it's similar to 3, but theirs costs 2. So this guy, like if he's connecting for 3, that's what shifts the balance of the econ in your favor, and also gives you some opportunities for the double attack on a unit to finish it off and all those type of things. So I would also be playing like most of them, like 3 or 4 of them in this game. And finally, the color is just a support unit. So it's just going to be the usual, like aligning the brutes for the ram and being used as meat shields to put in front of the slingers, to put in front of Thunderbed, to put in front of whatever you can do so that they have to go through them before they can hit your other units. So that's just the usual role. So as you can see, you'll need a lot of magic to always have like more units and more cost efficient units. So that's why the events will take uh, less of a priority in this matchup. Like you, most of the time, you'll prefer to discard them to just keep bringing your units, unless you're in that specific scenario where it's going to be giving you what you need, like taking the front gate for them or doing those things. But remember that you can also take that front gate with one of your gates. So that's also makes things a bit of a pain for them. Ideally, if you're able to bring a unit to protect one of the summoning spots, like we saw in the third game, that's what really gets them in trouble when you're able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I think that covers it. Anything you want to add on this one's on the Vargas?
Yeah, no, I think we've been over the strategy for the most part. Just go for it. Get in there. Get those gate spots with those brutes if you can.
Yeah,
Just
I like
just
that.
fight in the mid, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Anything
So
else in terms of the matchup and whatnot?
no, no, I think we've covered it extremely in depth. I'm not sure if you just want to close out with the
Yeah.
Ops sim feature, the new tool.
Yes, yes. So yes, this is the first matchup of the season. So we'll be doing a video for each of these over the weekend, and same thing. So sometime during the week, sort of unannounced, in the evening, like there'll be a stream or two where we play the games live. So feel free to try to catch those if you want to see the thrill of the live game, and then that will also be on YouTube. So there'll be two YouTube videos, the one of the live game, and then the one like this of the analysis, and that the analysis video is the one that I'll advertise and put out something a day before, so everyone knows it's happening. But you can always catch the live game on YouTube as well if you miss it. And so yeah, to clear to finish things off here, so there's five matchups. Massimo just put out a tool. I think it's linked in the Discord, and it'll probably also have a link somewhere here in a notification box or something. To predict to predict the matchups. There's lots of like fun voting things, like voting for favorite art, voting for card power. So we can predict which what we think the matchups are going to be. So why don't we that'd be fun too. We won't put too much thought into it because obviously that's it's it takes a lot of games, a lot of thought to think about like where you think these matchups land, and we can still be wrong, and a lot of times maybe the league data isn't perfect, or I don't know. But let's give our best prediction. So what do you think? Mountain Vargath versus Savannah Elves. How do you think that's going?
So I think this one is going to be like heavily skewed to the elves. I would say between 60 and 65% is going to be leaning to the elves. I
Yeah.
mean, if I see it close to 70, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be surprised if it's below 60. Like, I would call that a win for the Vargas if they get to stay between the 50 and 60, leaning to the elves.
Yeah. Okay. That that seems decent. Any reason like not even higher? Like you think like we're not quite up to the 70 range. There's a few matchups that are that bad. But you still think the Vargath have a chance here?
Well, the reason I wouldn't say more than that is that so we have a lot of divisions, and the decks are played very differently between divisions. So I don't think it will go as high. We usually don't see even when the matchup is very like leans heavily to one of them. We usually don't see it go that high. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is as hard of a match as it can get for a faction. I believe it's probably one of the worst matchups for the Vargas. So yeah, if I would say
Yeah.
it's more likely that it's going to be between 60 and 65.
I see, I see. But if you were to like consider perfect play only, you might go higher. You might go higher for Savannah Elves.
Well, actually, if you consider like the perfect play, maybe that's going to be lower for someone else because
Interesting.
like if you do this thing with the Varga, like that's what gives you a chance. But if you don't do that, I think like you're like have even less chances. So yeah, it's hard to. What do you think? Like, which percentage do you think?
What were you saying? Sorry, but with perfect play, Savannah Elves get a better chance or a worse
Because
chance?
no, I think like for Savannah Elves, it's not like Savannah Elves can really be the aggressor on this one, right?
Yeah.
Like I would think very few people would like lean to trying to do that because just the game really with Savannah Elves pushes you to just stay back and just build the boost, all the boost stuff. So if like even playing the optimal strategy for the Vargas, like the alternate in your favor, and if you don't play that strategy, which a lot of people like, a lot of those games, like they're probably not gonna even try that or not try it
Yeah.
fast
I see.
enough,
I
and
see.
then just fall before that. So that's
Yeah.
why, like, yeah, they could go as high as 70, but we'll see. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like, I
Yeah.
would go with 65 just to be conservative. I would probably just say 65.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's definitely tough that like you sort of need to know this one strategy with the Vargath, otherwise you might not even have a chance. So,
Exactly. Like,
yeah,
and that means that you're familiar with the variable, like you know how to play them, and you know that flow that they have and how that advance. Uh, it pretty much boils down to that, right? Because the strategy that they're following on this one is really it's what they try to do in most matchups. Just that in this one, you need to be more aggressive than usual. Like take a little bit more risk, like that gate placement, for example. That's a little bit more aggressive than they tend to be, but it's just because of the matchup. So
it's
yeah,
funny that this is a total aside, and we should not talk about this, but but playing these games has made me feel that I feel like the dynamics that Savannah Elves create is very similar to the Groks. Like it's a similar, just like they sit back and they're gonna win and they hit hard and you gotta rush them, but it sucks for a lot of factions. Like it seems very similar now that I'm thinking about it.
it is, yeah, exactly. It is the same dynamic of all my units are really strong. I don't need to go forward because it benefits like the longer the game takes, it's better for me because everything just gets better on my units. and you have to come to me. And we know that in this game, like being the aggressor is slightly harder because you have some dependencies. Like you need the gates in the right order so that you cannot really like mount an effective aggression without gates, just with a gate on the back, because when they can destroy your units, then you cannot just have the summoner there in the middle, right? Like you just unprotected, especially in this decks that the summoner needs to be a part of that. So it's harder to mount an aggressive than just being the defensor, because there's more dependencies on just chance and things like that related to random factors. And that's why these factions are so good, because you don't rely on those. Like if you get your gate or not, sometimes it's not such a big deal, right? Like you can still just keep summoning your units and using them because they're stronger. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it feels similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's just and I'm really bad at predicting matchups and giving numbers, or at least unless I've played the matchup before a few times. But let's give our best shot for these other ones just for fun, just real quickly.
Well, why don't
What
we
was
try to do the guesses after each review? Because
you
really,
think so? Okay.
like after you do the analysis is when you have like some educated guess of the range, right? Like right now on the other ones, I feel like it would be more of a random guess without thinking through all the stuff that we've been talking about and analyzing it. So it's probably going to be better. Like we'll have a better result if we do it as we go each week.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Well, we can give guesses then. I'm not sure the way Massimo set up the tool, it might like predictions might close at a certain point or something. So if you're interested, go over go over and head over to summonerzone.com. I think this link should do it too if you can't find a direct link. And give it your best guess. I'm guessing there's yeah results here for what people this is what other people are thinking of the matchup, so yeah, you can go over and predict just for fun. But yeah, we'll be back to play some more to see how the rest of these matchups shake out. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Ben, and thank you, everyone. See you next
All
week.
right. See you later, bye.
Bye.
And yeah, I might be up streaming later today even with some more games. So, you know, stay tuned if you want to watch some more. Thanks for tuning in and catch you guys later.